Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everybody. We're going to be talking movie talk, and the movie specifically is 47 Ronin. I have just seen this movie, and I gotta say, objectively, it holds up pretty well. Now, this movie was based on the historical event in feudal Japan where 47 Ronin, or samurai without masters, decided to avenge their fallen lord, who was a feudal lord, and by doing so, they were going against the shogun of the era. Basically, they were forbidden to seek vengeance for their master's murder. Now, the movie, I don't think is completely historically accurate. Let's get some more light in here. But I gotta say that what they did in the movie was very well done. They really respected the culture of Japan's feudal era. They added in some of their own touches, the designer and whatnot. The cast is very well done. I mean, I've only seen some of these actors and actresses in a couple other movies here and there, but for the most part, they are very good actors. I mean, Keanu Reeves is in this movie, but to give you an idea of other ones, they had Hiroyuki Sanada, who played in the Wolverine movie as the son of the guy that was the old man that was trying to take the stuff take the healing from Wolverine. Shingen, I believe his character was named in the Wolverine. He played a very good job in that movie, and he did a very good job in this movie. There was Rinko Kikuchi, who played in the Pacific Rim movies. I thought she was very well done in those movies. You have Tadanobu Asano, who played the villain in 47 Ronin, Lord Kira. And also Hiroyuki Tagawa, who played the Shogun. Now, everybody knows him from Mortal Kombat as Shang Tsung. And like I said, this movie has an all-star Japanese cast. And it's very well done. Objectively speaking, this movie is also well done. I will not say it's a perfect movie. The fact that it does delve into the fantastical when it's based on a historical happening does take away from it objectively. But subjectively, I absolutely love this movie. I'm glad I purchased it because it seemed that interesting. I've always had a fascination with samurai and with the katana and many other blades. Hence, why I have a samurai or a katana. The story is basically thus. It's good remake. I like the original 1943. I honestly had no idea there was a 43 original Junebug, and thank you for coming in. This movie, basically, to give a little bit more detail, it has witchcraft. It has fantastical beast in it, or two of them actually. It has a sort of dragon from witchcraft. It also has Tengu, which are kind of like bird people, but also mystical, or there's a mystical element of the Tengu in Japanese culture. They were considered demons, and they were hated amongst many. Now, they also had a beast that they didn't really give a name for in the movie, but they were hunting it during when Keanu Reeves' character is fully aged to look like Keanu Reeves. He basically helps kill this beast to save one of the samurai's lives. Now, Keanu Reeves is and the samurai, and they decided to keep him alive and raise him sort of like an outcast. Now, let me just get my banner up. Now, one of the cool things about this was, even though he was an outcast, he was still embraced for the most part. He wasn't embraced by the feudal lord samurai. The samurai hated him. They treated him like an outcast and completely shunned him and discarded a lot of what he had to do and say. The character Oishi originally tried to kill him when he found him because he had marks of Tengu on him. And so he actually tried to drown him for a second, but then Kai, which was Keanu Reeves' character, pulled the sword to his neck and whatnot, and the feudal lord said, "Bring him with us." Now, Tadanobu Asano, everybody knows from Thor. How you doing, Sci-Fi Nation? Junebug is in here too. Yeah, the 43 version doesn't get talked about a whole lot because it was made in Japan around the World War II and doesn't talk about, for obvious reasons, at least in America, it got put under the rug. Yeah. And so, yeah. Also, I didn't check the reply from Sci-Fi in chat from Twitter because I asked if he had seen 47 Ronin. Because if you guys actually want to talk the movie on here, I'll actually bring you guys on. And it's going good, Kamen Rider. How are you? There we are. Nope, you haven't seen it? That's okay. So we are going to be discussing some spoilers here and there, but I will try to keep it to a minimum. So yeah, I will try to keep it to a minimum for you, Sci-Fi. I mean, I do recommend this movie. I was actually going to do just a plain old video, but the weather is kind of shitty, and I always go outside to upload to another place because they have better Wi-Fi than the Wi-Fi here. I mean, the Wi-Fi here is good for streaming, but I like the Wi-Fi elsewhere for uploading because it's faster elsewhere. If I was to try to upload here, it would be like a minute or it would take an hour for a minute. So yeah, pretty much. Now, today's topic, Kamen Rider, is 47 Ronin was made, or Keanu Reeves stars in it. And I'll give you guys a brief recap now that more people are in here. Basically, let me get to the cast. It's a movie that is actually based on the historical happening in feudal Japan. And it is a movie that is about 47 samurai who were so loyal to their master that after he was killed under mysterious circumstances, or he was murdered under treacherous and mysterious circumstances, the shogun of the era did not allow them to take vengeance. He expressly forbid them to take vengeance. And so a year after their master's murder, I'm going by the movie's account, they sought vengeance and they killed the person, or they found out who killed their feudal lord, and they ended up killing him. So the shogun accepted their crime, and he said, instead of punishing them as common criminals, he allowed them to die with honor. They knew that what they were going to do would end in them dying. They had no qualms about that. And this is actually a very historical happening that has great influence on Japanese culture today. I mean, even during World War II, there were people, or seppuku, which is honorable suicide, basically, or dishonorable suicide, basically to reclaim your honor or because you were dishonored. You were basically, or this is a practice that is in some time or in some areas still practiced, depending on how traditional you truly are. Now, there's a freaking, well, now dead fly in here. They went to Stavo Core. I guess I didn't kill it. There's a very pesky insect in here, folks. Now, your sync is way off for lives. Or for lives, no offense. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And I do my best to with what I got at this point. WW2 stuff. I know this. Well, this didn't take place during World War II. This took place during feudal Japan era. Now, I gotta say that the acting in this movie was very well done. Even Keanu Reeves and whatnot, he does good movies. I like Keanu Reeves movies. But even objectively speaking, this movie is well done. But even so, objectively, without bias, I cannot give this movie a perfect score. Because when you're doing historically based movies, it's better to stay consistent. And it's better to stay as realistic as you can. Now, they do delve into the more fantastical elements. The Tengu, a flippin' dragon, and magical movement, and whatnot, and witchcraft. Now, but I can say that because of them delving into more fantastical elements, it doesn't take away from the movie's objective score. I will give the movie a 4.5 out of 10 objectively. So that's like, or a 4.5 out of 5. I'm sorry, 4.5 out of 5. And how you doing, Rambling Canuck? Good to have you here. Now, Monkey King, that's a whole different movie. Yes, Monkey King is also, or I've seen a couple movies with the Monkey King, Into the West and Forbidden Kingdom. But back to 47 Ronin, I've always had a fascination with the samurai culture, and this movie respects the traditional feudal society so much that they've done research and all that in order to respect the Japanese and their culture in order to make this movie. They had 99% Japanese cast, where they had, the only person that they didn't have that was Japanese in this movie was Keanu Reeves. But all stars like Tadanobu Asano from Thor, or from the Thor movies, I will butcher their names if I do not read them. Hiroyuki Sanada from the Wolverine. He was the one that played Shingen, Mariko's father. Rinko Kikuchi from Pacific Rim, the movie, both Pacific Rim movies. She played Mako in this movie. She played the witch. Min Tanaka, he played Lord Asano. I've seen him in other movies. You also have Hiroyuki Tagawa. Everybody knows him as Shang Tsung from the original Mortal Kombat movie. And even in Mortal Kombat 11 as the voice of Shang Tsung. But yeah, it's just to name a few. I mean, all the rest of the actors and actresses are all well known in Japan. Now, there is a area that's called the Dutch Island, where there are other people who are not Japanese. Wolverine will always be that one white dude. Sorry, bud. Hugh Jackman. Thing is, I actually liked Hugh Jackman's portrayal, especially in the Wolverine. The Wolverine, especially the unrated extended edition, the Unleashed unrated edition, as they call it, I thought it was great. I mean, they showed a lot more blood and a lot more violence in that movie, in the unrated movie, and it truly does help. Hold on one second. Oh. And the Joker will always be Jack Nicholson. I actually did a review for Batman 89, if you want to check that out. Also Sci-Fi. I also pointed out a pretty cool movie mistake in that movie, or in that one. Chug, 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 chug. Yeah, Junebug. Now, back to 47 Ronin. I did like the special effects and the shape-shifting and whatnot. I thought it was a very cool, or I thought the creature effects in this movie were very interesting. I mean, that six-eyed monster, or the six-eyed beast that they have in this movie, that the samurai and the feudal lord are hunting, I thought was an interesting idea. Although I've never seen anything like that in historical records. Dragons, or there's a dragon in this movie, basically from the witchcraft, or the witch in the movie, played by Rinko Kikuchi. She plays a dragon, and I honestly thought that that was a very good dragon effect that they did. It was a very traditional Japanese-centric dragon, or even Chinese-centric dragon, depending on how you view it. And even with the digital effects, I thought it was a very good movie. I mean, this movie is truly one that I enjoyed watching. And for me to stay through a movie, as in not move, and I'm at home watching the movie, if I don't get up from watching this movie to like stretch or something, or get something to drink or whatnot, that means I am so engrossed in this movie, and that means that the movie is good in my eyes. And I can honestly say that I did this watching 47 Ronin. I only paused it to go back like a couple seconds because I wanted to, or I missed a line because somebody interrupted me. And that was about it. But for the most part, I was completely invested in the film. I absolutely loved it. And too many senseis, not enough acolytes. Well, rest in peace, Neil Fingleton. He was the really tall 7'7" guy in this movie. Oh, I did not know that. I'm sorry that he passed away too. Rest in peace, indeed. But he was the one that played the in all armor porcelain samurai, so to speak, under Lord Kira. But Tadanobu Asano, I gotta say, his portrayal of the villain in this movie, and seeing his character as Hogan the Grim in the Thor movies, it's like way different. Also seeing him, or I also remember him from the Battleship movie, which is another movie that I actually like, even though it's objectively flawed. Now, Tadanobu Asano is a freaking legend when it comes to Hollywood, but I've only seen him in three different roles. This one, his character in Battleship, and Hogan in the Thor movies. But even so, he carries a very heavy wisdom in his characters. And it's amazing to see on screen every time. Also, the one that plays Oishi, so Hiroyuki Sanada, his character was well done in this movie, as he is basically one of the main characters. The one that basically found Keanu Reeves' character Kai. And it was an interesting character because he treated Kai as an outcast, or he didn't take him seriously. But when they're cast out and when they're Ronin, and he has to go and ask Kai for help. And he breaks him out of a place where they had enslaved Kai. He's like, or he asks for his help and whatnot, and then Keanu Reeves basically takes full advantage of it, and he's like, "Don't turn your back on me, Ronin," and grabs him by his back, pulling him back around. Thank you, Gelth. I truly appreciate it. And as for most of you know, if you guys get me to 450 subs before May 31st, you will have locked in the orange hat removal live stream. But if you get me to 500 before May 31st, not only will I whip off the hat in a live stream, it will be a live stream where you can literally ask me any question, no matter how embarrassing or personal. So yeah, make sure that if you guys want to have that kind of access to learn how I am, or to totally embarrass me on stream, get me to 500 subs before May 31st. Now, if I don't reach 450 before May 31st, the next time this offer will be valid is when I get to 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, this is your one chance, because I do not know if I will even ever reach 1,000 subscribers. So this is a pretty good opportunity to get me put in a very embarrassing situation just by getting me to 450. Like I said, 450 before May 31st, the hat comes off at 500 subs. Now, if you actually do get me to 500 subs before May 31st, hat and Q&A, or embarrassing Q&A. So with that said, thank you for subbing, Gelth. I truly appreciate it. Now back to 47 Ronin. The character, it's a very good dynamic shift between the character of Kai and the samurai who had once looked down on him, because now they depend on him. They depend on him to get them weapons that they need, because now that they're masterless samurai, they are also not allowed to carry swords and whatnot. So he gets them swords, and this is where they delve into the mystical area, where they have to go to where he was originally from, the Tengu. And it was an interesting sequence. I honestly did not expect it to be what it was. I thought it was all happening that some of his or some of Oishi's comrades actually came in when they weren't supposed to. And I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, even though there was the mystical sense of this movie, you still had a sense that this movie was also historical, because they brought in the scroll of the 47 Ronin's signatures and blood print, which I believe is a real thing. Now, with that said, again, even with the fantastical elements, you still get the historical sense of this movie. They respected the hell out of this movie when it was made. They wanted to make sure that they had all of the protocol and etiquette of feudal society in this movie. And they did a wonderful job with it. So, you give me an opening, I'll send you a swing, and I'll swing the insult bat. You guys are freaking cracking me up in the... Was this the Tom Cruise Ronin movie? No, that is that is The Last Samurai, I believe. Which is another movie I'm actually going to want to take a look at sometime. But yeah. Anyway, this is not going to be a long stream. It was only going to go for 30 minutes, if anything. And we're almost at the 25-minute mark. But yes, my official scores are 4.5 out of 5. for objective, without bias, this movie did have flaws. 5 out of 5 subjective. I loved this movie a lot. It was a very good movie. I would actually wager to put it in my top 10 of all my favorite movies. Now, and as for moviegoer, it's definitely a 5 out of 5. It kept me in my seat, and I absolutely enjoyed watching it. Now, for those of you who have just joined my channel, moviegoer is where I do not break it down like objective and subjective opinion. Moviegoer is where I base it strictly on entertainment value. This movie was entertaining. I enjoyed the story. It kept me engaged. How you doing, Scotty? And you're just getting in right as I'm ending, but I do thank you for swinging by. I just did a review for 47 Ronin, starring Keanu Reeves and a multitude of Japanese actors and actresses that are legendary. And with that being said, folks, I am going to start wrapping it up. Remember, get me to 500 subs, the hat comes off. But if you get me to 500, oh jeez, Junebug. Well, just make sure that you get me to 400 or 500 subs before May 31st. If you can do that before May 31st, you got 6 days to go. If you can do that before May 31st or before June 1st, but June 1st at midnight, if I'm at 500 subs, you'll have the Q&A. Otherwise, you gotta wait until 1,000 subs. Now, if you guys get me to 450 subs at the question is, does the hat hide a bald spot? That is the question, isn't it? Feel free to check out Zero Cool's review of 47 Ronin because he did a Keanu Reeves marathon. Nice. I will have to look for that. If you can leave me a link on Twitter DMs or Messenger, Scotty, because I know we're friends on Facebook. Now, but yeah, if you guys get me to 450, the hat, or you've locked in the hat removal stream. But if I do not get to 500 by May 31st, I will, or the Q&A won't happen. And if I don't get to 450 by May 31st, it won't happen until 1,000 subscribers. So just to give you guys a little bit of incentive. So yeah, thank you for all tuning in. You all are, I'm going to give a shout out to those who were in the chat. Multi-Minded Scotty. Junebug, Gelf. Who else? Sci-Fi Nation. Thank you guys for all showing up. Rambling Canuck, thank you for showing up. Cayman Rider 64, always a pleasure. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Anyway, folks, this is going to be it. For those of you catching this on the replay, y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, what you thought of 47 Ronin. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite parts? All that jazz. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.